Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a layout for Scrap Academy. We are concentrating on mixed media this term, and today I'm going slightly more advanced and showing you mixed media layering. So I am starting off with a 6x12 piece of cardstock. I'm using Marshmallow because it is really good to take paint and mixed media because it's quite thick and apparently already primed or something similar, so it's a smooth cardstock as well, and it is really good for taking colour. Okay, so I'm using rainbow colours of Shimmerz Paints. So these are hard watercolour paints that I've put a small amount of water in, and they then kind of dissolve a little bit and give you a lovely rich thick paint on the surface. You can use any watercolours for this kind of technique but I use the Shimmerz brand. So I've put some water into the pots. I've therefore created some paint and I'm picking it up with my paintbrush and adding it to a piece of packaging, and then I'm pressing the packaging onto this piece of cardstock. So I'm also manipulating the colour around with a paintbrush as well. I'm just trying to be careful where I put my colours. I don't want them to bleed into each other too much. So if I have too much water, they will do that. And if I get too close to overlapping, they will do that as well. I do want them to kind of blend together a little bit, but I don't want them to like really bleed and be just turn into mud. So here I am complete. So I've done all of the colours in kind of stripes, if you like, across the piece of cardstock, and now and I've waited for it to dry. So I've also added some splatters and then I just waited for it to dry. Actually, I think I might have used a heat tool, and now I'm going on to my next layer. So I'm using a stencil. You can see the star stencil that I'm using. I have various ink pads in the same colours. They're not exactly the same colours, but they're close enough, you know. It's a shade of orange over orange, that'll do. And you can see that I'm using my ink dauber, so that's just like a sponge on a wooden handle. You can use a normal sponge, you don't have to have a proper dauber. I'm just putting the sponge into the ink and then I am rubbing it over the stencil to create inked stars, stenciled stars onto my piece of colourful cardstock that I'm creating. So I'm going to use this to back a cut file when it's complete. So I just want to make sure that I have a lovely large area completely filled with colour so that I can then use it effectively as a pattern paper. So as I say, layer 1 was the paint itself. I did some splatters as well for extra texture. Then layer 2 is stenciling using ink pads over the same areas, and then I'm going to take it a step further and do some stamping as well. So I'm going star crazy today, as you can see, but I have a star stencil and now I'm coming in with some star stamps. So I've got this little cute set of stars stamps from a company called Lime Citron, who are in Canada. I just love their stamps, so I've got a few from there. I am using my acrylic block to stamp various different stars. So I think I pulled out 3 different stars. 2 are like, I don't know how to describe it, you know, the stars that they're not just an outline, they go through, they cross over each other. So I've got 2 of those and then 1 little kind of starburst stamp as well. So I'm just using my same ink pads that I did for the stenciling to stamp multiple times over each area with the stamps. So with the 3 different star stamps on the same area of colour. So orange on orange, red on red, yellow on yellow, green on green, etc. Okay, so there is my very lovely complete mixed media sheet. I would call that a mixed media sheet. That's what I've created there. I'm just now going to back a cut file with it, you can see I have this lovely balloons cut file. It's from Confessions of a Paper Addict, she does lovely cut files. I think this may have been a freebie, but if it was, it should be available in her shop now. So I've just drawn around the outside of the balloons onto my mixed media sheet that I've created, and then I'm going to cut out around that pencil mark that I just made. Now my mixed media sheet wasn't quite long enough, so I'm having to do the final balloon on a separate piece, so that's lucky that I had more mixed media sheet than I needed, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to backfill that final balloon. So yeah, but anyway, there we go. Now how awesome does that look? And that's all created just with mixed media and layering techniques. So I hope that you have found that technique useful. It's a really lovely way to use your mixed media and to get lots of different layer effects going on. Now I've done colour on colour, but of course you could do black stamping over the top of a colour, or you could have a lot less colours than what I've got. You could do stenciling in different stencils. You could have multiple amounts of stenciling going on, lots of different stamping. So the possibilities are endless, really. It's just really fun to make that really large area of colour, and then to cut it up and create something different with it. So how awesome are those balloons looking now, that they are completely filled with mixed media patterns, especially as rainbow, because rainbow's awesome, right? So yeah. So yeah, there you go. That is the technique that I was showing you today, and I'm now obviously going to go on and complete the layout. So the rest of the layout is fairly simple, although there seems to be an awful lot of video left. So I don't know how it took me so long to put it together, but there you go. There is my complete balloons. Don't they look absolutely fab? And I'm going to stick those to a white background, and then I'm going to put my photo top right. So I'm just debating now whether I should use any different backgrounds. I really love this yellow, but I felt that the balloons lost their impact on the yellow cardstock, so I'm going to switch that round and put the yellow behind it and make a border out of that yellow, so I still bring in that lovely bright happy yellow, but my balloons still go on white because then they show up really, really well. Okay, so I've just trimmed my cardstock down to about 11.5 inches square. I'm going to distress the edges, and then I'm going to mount that onto my yellow background paper, and just create a border. Now I'm going to rough up the edges quite a bit. I've already done it with my scissors, but I'm going to also really fold up the edges more, and in two places you can see there I've really folded them over a lot. I'm going to add staples there later on as well. I don't know if I do that now or later, but yeah, I'm going to add some staples there to hold those down, just to give a bit of a different look, really. So now just getting that stuck in place, and then I can really start to build up the rest of my layout. There we go, I'm adding the staples now. So I'm using a tiny attacher by Tim Holtz. You can use any stapler, but this is a really cute one. It has mini staples, but you can get mini staples and mini staplers for a lot cheaper than you can buy the Tim Holtz one. My children got a stapler each in their Smiggle advent calendar last year, and they have mini staples, so I have a drawer full of mini staplers. Well, I have multiple mini staplers in my house now, basically. Anyway, yeah, so I used a tiny attacher by Tim Holtz to staple those sides down. So now I am adding in my balloons. So I want them to stand up. The tails are all going to be loose. I'm not going to do anything with those. I'm not going to stick them down or anything. They're just going to hang. But the balloons themselves are going to be raised on foam pads. So I've put quite a lot of those onto the back, and then stuck it along the top edge. And then my number 2 photo balloon is going to go top right. So this is photos of my little baby boy, who's not a baby anymore, unfortunately. This is his 2nd birthday, and the best present he received was his number 2 balloon. He doesn't really care about all the presents he received, but the balloon was the best thing ever. So I have just mounted my photo there onto a journaling card, and then I think I mounted it onto another journaling card, so I kind of offset a little bit with 2, a blue one and a green one. I'm conscious about keeping colour on colour, so I wanted to keep the green journaling card on the green section and the blue journaling card on the blue section, but I got it wrong and I stuck them around the wrong way. but you know what, you probably wouldn't have noticed unless I had told you, so we won't worry too much about it. Okay, I'm now going to add further to my mixed media balloons, but not with mixed media, but with paper. It's a speciality pattern paper by Amy Tangerine. I think it was from, what collection is it from? Not Late Afternoon, that's the latest one. The previous one, the one from earlier this year, I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, there was a speciality sheet with a whole load of coloured hearts all over, and they're kind of glittery. So I've cut some out, fussy cut them, and then I'm just putting the fussy cut hearts on the colour on top of my balloons. So that's just another layer that I've put on top there. Even though it's not mixed media, it is another effect. It is glittery. So, you know, mixed media doesn't have to be paint or ink. It doesn't have to be wet mediums. It can be tissue paper. It can be tulle. It can be ribbons. You know, it can be anything really. Anything is mixed media. Mixed media just means lots of different things, textures. But in scrapbooking, it does tend to mean ink or wet mediums. Okay, so now just carrying on sorting out my layout itself. I've got my photo over on the right. I have that really lovely wooden rainbow embellishment. Now that was a naked rainbow. It was wooden, wood veneer, naked rainbow. And my daughter sat and coloured them in beautifully. There's only a couple of them, but she coloured them in. I don't know, they might have been with her gel pens. And then she applied glue all over it and added glitter. So I have this really glittery, beautiful rainbow embellishment, and it's just been sitting on the side in my craft room for months. Actually, I don't really know what to do with it. It's the sort of thing that, you know, eventually gets, you know, thrown around the house multiple times, and then eventually you find it, or someone stands on it and it breaks. So I just thought, as it was sitting on the side, I would use it and stick it onto a layout, and it was a perfect layout to use it with because obviously I have a rainbow going on at the top. So even though this day was nothing to do with rainbows, we were celebrating my little boy turning 2, so what better way to do that than with loads and loads of fabulous colour. Okay, so my rainbow embellishment, I'm now struggling where to put it, even though I've decided that I am going to use it, so just going to figure out where I'm going to put that. I've got the colourful flags. These flags along the bottom edge of my photo, they're actually what I based the balloons on in the first place, and it's a bit long, that banner. It's not long enough to go at the top, but it's too long to go across the bottom of my photo. So I have stuck it across the bottom of my photo, but it just means that I need to extend the photo out towards the right hand side a bit more with embellishments and things. So that's why I've got a cluster going on at the right hand side of my photo. Okay, so adding in over on that right hand side a big balloon sticker or piece of ephemera, I think. There's some macarons ephemera as well, even though we didn't have macarons that day, but we did have cake, so I think it's close enough. And then there's a sloth holding a heart and wearing slippers. You know, that's great, we love that. And a little fussy cut rainbow as well as my wooden rainbow embellishment that my daughter made. And then I've stuck the word celebrate, that's a Thicker's word sticker, across the flags, the colourful flags, and then underneath I'm writing 2 years, so the title reads Celebrate 2 years. Underneath my rainbow I've added a couple of heart stickers. This collection that I'm using, you know, some of the stickers and bits and pieces are from the photo play paper. I think it's called Let's Just All Stay Home or something similar to that, that I had from the summertime. I've got a few bits of that collection left, so I keep digging into it and seeing what I can use. I'm just finding out some word stickers now to go at the top of my photo. So this is a Simple Stories pack of stickers. There's about I think it's a travel collection, but there's lots of lovely things in there, even though we are so not travelling at the moment. So my labels at the top say, life is a beautiful adventure, remember today, here and now. So they all go really well with the layout as well. Adding in a pair of sunglasses because it was a sunny day. It was August, so it was very sunny. And I'm trying to add in some flowers now. I'm a little bit concerned about this section over on the left of the photo because my flag extends past the photo. It's upsetting me a bit, so I just thought I'd try and pad that bit out a bit with some flowers. Then I'm just adding in some sequins. I'm trying to extend the vertical design now. So obviously I have a big horizontal element along the top of the page, and then I have my photo coming down on the right hand side. So I just thought I would try to extend the right hand vertical element with some sequins. So they are running from the top of the page, or the balloons, towards the bottom of the rainbow. So they don't go all the way down to the bottom edge of the layout, but they just enhance that vertical section on the right hand side of the layout. Okay, and that is me completely finished. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you found this tutorial useful on how to create a mixed media layering effect. Thank you so much for joining me. That was Nikki Rowland for Scrap Academy.